Greeting philosophers. Welcome to Philosophy Zone, where we explore the big ideas that shape how we think, live and understand the world. Today, we're stepping into the mind of one of history's greatest thinkers, Aristotle, to explore his philosophy of nature and psychology. Now, Aristotle isn't just some dusty old philosopher with a beard and a toga. His ideas are still alive, buzzing with relevance, helping us make sense of everything from the trees outside to the thoughts in our heads. So, grab a coffee, settle in, and let's unpack what Aristotle thought about the natural world and the human soul. Aristotle was a guy who loved to observe. He wasn't just sitting in a cave pondering big questions. He was out there looking at plants, animals, and even the stars. For him, nature wasn't just a backdrop. It was a dynamic living system full of purpose. His philosophy of nature starts with this idea that everything in the world has a kind of built-in goal, what he called a telos. Think of an acorn. It's not just a nut, it's got this inner drive to become an oak tree. That's its telos, its purpose. For Aristotle, everything, plants, animals, even humans, has a natural end it's striving toward. It's like the universe is a giant orchestra, and every single thing is playing its part to create this harmonious whole. Now, this might sound a bit poetic, but Aristotle was practical too. He didn't just dream this stuff up. He built his ideas on observation. He'd look at a fish and ask, what's it doing? Why does it swim like that? He thought nature was always moving towards something, always changing to fulfill its potential. This idea of change is huge in his philosophy. He broke it down into 4 causes that explain why things are the way they are. Let's walk through them, because they're like the skeleton key to understanding Aristotle's view of nature. First, there's the material cause, what something is made of. For a statue, that's the marble. For a tree, it's the wood, sap and leaves. Simple enough. Then there's the formal cause, the shape or structure that makes it what it is. The statue's got to look like a person, not a blob. The tree's got to have roots, a trunk, branches. Next up is the efficient cause, the thing that brings it into being. For the statue, that's the sculptor chiseling away. For the tree, it's the seed and the natural processes that make it grow. Finally, there's the final cause, the telos, the purpose or end goal. The statue's purpose might be to inspire or decorate. The tree's purpose is to grow, reproduce, and keep being a tree. These 4 causes are Aristotle's way of explaining why things exist and how they change. It's not random. It's all got a point. Nature, for him, is like a giant workshop where everything is being crafted toward its best self. This isn't just about physical stuff either. It applies to us, to humans, and that's where his psychology comes in. Because if everything in nature has a purpose, what's ours? Let's shift gears and talk about Aristotle's take on the human soul, which is where his philosophy of nature meets his ideas about psychology. For Aristotle, the soul isn't some ghostly thing floating around like in a Halloween movie. It's the life force, the thing that makes a living being tick. He called it the psyche, which is where we get the word psychology. The soul is what animates you, what makes you you. But it's not separate from your body. It's deeply connected, like the software that runs the hardware of your brain and body. Aristotle had this layered view of the soul, and it's tied to his love of classifying things. He said there are different kinds of souls for different kinds of living things. Plants have a nutritive soul, which lets them grow and reproduce. Animals have that, plus a sensitive soul, which gives them sensation and movement. They can see, hear, chase, or run away. Humans, though, we're special. We've got the nutritive soul, the sensitive soul, and a rational soul. That rational bit is what lets us think, reason, and make choices. It's why we can sit here pondering Aristotle instead of just chasing our next meal. Now, this rational soul is where things get really interesting, because it's not just about thinking abstract thoughts like, what is justice? It's about how we live our lives. Aristotle thought our purpose, our telos, is to live well, to flourish. He called this eudaimonia, often translated as happiness, but it's deeper than that. It's not about fleeting pleasures like eating ice cream or binge-watching a series. It's about living a life of virtue, of being the best version of yourself. For Aristotle, that means using your reason to guide your actions, finding a balance between extremes. Let's unpack that balance idea, because it's one of Aristotle's greatest hits. He called it the golden mean. The idea is that every virtue sits between two extremes, neither too much nor too little. Take courage, for example. Too much courage and you're reckless, jumping into danger without thinking. Too little and you're a coward, running from every challenge. The sweet spot, courage, is right in the middle, where you face danger with thought and purpose. This applies to everything. Generosity, honesty, even how you handle your emotions. It's like tuning a guitar. Too tight or too loose and it sounds awful. Get it just right and you've got harmony. This idea of balance ties back to his view of nature. Just as nature has a purpose, humans have a purpose too, and it's to live rationally and virtuously. But Aristotle wasn't naive. He knew we don't just wake up one day perfectly virtuous. It takes practice, habit, and effort. You've got to train yourself to hit that golden mean, like an athlete training for a race. And here's the cool part. For Aristotle, this isn't just about you as an individual. It's about living in a community. Humans are social animals, he said. We thrive in cities, in families, in friendships. Our purpose isn't just to be a good person in isolation. It's to contribute to a good society. Let's zoom out for a second and think about why this matters today. Aristotle's philosophy of nature and psychology gives us a framework to ask big questions. Why do things exist? What's our role in the world? His four causes make us think about the why behind everything, from a flower blooming to a smartphone in your hand. His ideas about the soul and virtue push us to reflect on how we live. Are we chasing our own eudaimonia? Are we finding that balance, or are we swinging between extremes, too stressed, too lazy, too selfish, too selfless? In a world that's always rushing, Aristotle's like a wise friend saying, slow down, observe, think. His philosophy of nature reminds us to respect the world around us, to see it as full of purpose, not just stuff to exploit. His psychology challenges us to be better, not just for ourselves, but for each other. And in a time when we're bombarded with quick fixes and instant gratification, his call for balance and habit feels like a lifeline. So as we wrap up this episode of the Philosophy Zone, let's take a page from Aristotle's book. Go outside, look at a tree, a bird, or even the clouds, and ask yourself, what's its purpose? What's mine? How can I live a little more in tune with my own nature? Aristotle didn't have all the answers, but he gave us the tools to ask better questions. And that, I think, is a pretty good place to start. Thanks for joining me in the Philosophy Zone. If you enjoyed this dive into Aristotle, share it with a friend, leave a comment, and let's keep the conversation going. Until next time, keep thinking, keep questioning, and keep aiming for that golden mean.